Checking to see if this is live. Let's see if this is gonna work. What are we gonna do? Alright. Let's make sure. Alright, howdy folks. This is Jagos. We are gonna see if you can hear me. 1 second. Let's see what's going on here. I don't think the stream is caught up quite yet. This is Jagos. Okay, can hear myself. So, let's go ahead, get this all taken care of. And go ahead, get this all put up on YouTube so people can sit here and see what is going on and what's going down. Sorry, I'm a little bit on the salty side right now. I have a bad back. Unfortunately, my back decided to just give me a lot of pain for today, and I got to do some stretches as soon as I'm done. But I haven't done some streams in a while. But the fact of the matter is, I've been busy with an ID poll video, something to try to get into identity politics. That's the type of thing that I'm going to sit here and do. Comrade Yui. Alright. Sit here and put that up for people to sit here and come in. Went and put that on Baka-chan. What's going on, Comrade Horse? It's been a while. Let me go ahead and type to you. Comrade Horse, welcome. See if anybody's watching. Alright. Alright. I'm going to give people a minute or two to just come in and see what's going on. If you hear my chair squeaking, probably my back is going to be killing me later, but I'm going to be going on. Jagos. Yeah. A lot of different ways to say it. But, so, I do have 3 topics that I was going to be going over. If you all have any questions, issues, comments, and concerns, please be sure to let me know. Kind of had a few things that I wanted to rant about, but I wanted to make sure that everybody gets to also have their say and see what they want to talk about as well. So if you have any questions, be sure to put them in the chat. I'm going to give people a few more minutes to set up, see what they're trying to basically figure out what's going on with the chat and everything. A few more minutes. Make sure that they can hear me. If you can, give me a chat, holler. I usually call out what's going on in the chat room. So, topics for tonight: Richard D. Wolff, Bernie Sanders. We're going to be going into the American politics for our international audience to sit here and figure out why in the world it's so hard to try to elect a social democrat. So we have 2 topics on that. That's going to be the Richard D. Wolff video as well as one by Sane Progressive. I know somebody in the forums actually likes that, so I do want to sit here and say, if you do find it to be something of interest, please be sure to check it out. Trying to figure out what else we got here. We also have cultural struggle and microprinting. That's going to be going a little bit more into the identity politics video that I'm actually going to be doing. This is just one of the many things that I have to go into in regards to identity politics and the history of it, not only from the 70s, but also way back in the day when the main thing was Protestants versus Catholics. Something that a lot of people don't really think about, the religious struggles that were going on, that happened to do with identity politics. But it also was something that, quote unquote, intersected with other types of struggles. So, one other thing that I'm going to be doing, I have to actually put this onto the podcast, or onto the 8chan forums. If anybody is looking into it, stream is up. Blink. So If anybody wants to see that, they're free to do so. So I'm going to sit here and make sure of this. Alright, so we're going to go over those three things. If there's no questions, issues, comments, concern, I'll go ahead and start with the big one, which is the fact that Richard D. Wolff came out with his new monthly update. I haven't seen the economic update for this week. I'm probably going to be looking into that tomorrow. When I make a stream about it, I'm actually going to sit here and go into more detail. One of the things that he really gets into that really has to be talked about and discussed is the fact that he has basically talked about why socialism has been so demonized for the last 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Now, the reason I say it that way is because a lot of people don't really understand that socialism could not be talked about, and there was a huge taboo about it. Capitalism has not been given the goods since 2008. And the reason that it hasn't been is because the reforms that is needed have all been stopped and stymied because the rich actually control our Congress. They do that with an undemocratic system such as the Electoral College, which basically ensures that anybody that they want, anybody who makes the most money from corporate Democrats or corporate Republicans or whatever you want to call them, corporatists, they're basically going to be the ones that essentially make all the money and do all of the things that they want to do instead of what the mass of people want and need and demand, require, desire, etc., etc. The fact of the matter is, with social democracy, it's a pretty tame, watered-down version of basically capitalism with a kinder face. This is one of the things that Richard D. Wolff actually goes into with his economic update for this year, this month. So I sit here and strongly recommend it. I'm not really going to go into the capitalist critiques that he does, but the point is that we really do need to sit here and discuss the Democratic as well as the Republican election, because one of the things that's occurring is that we could get Bernie Sanders elected, but a lot of people seem to miss the fact that we need to sit here and focus a lot on our local and, say, national elections. Now, we have a few people that are progressives, but we don't really have quite the organizations they need to sit here and get the, I want to say, support. The fact of the matter is, all the progressives, all the socialists, all the communists, all the anarchists are separated, divided. They don't really have anything that is keeping them close together. Now, the closest thing that happened was the Occupy Wall Street movement that basically put people into the right direction, but it's no longer around in quite the same capacity. I have a number of people that are protesting in a number of areas and ways. We have a number of movements that are going and basically doing the things that need to be done. And for now, in regards to the problems and the conditions that people are facing, they're quickly deteriorating more and more. Hillary Clinton is supposedly the nominee, but it's looking worse and worse for her, especially against Donald Trump. Nobody on the left can support her because of the fact that she's a corporate Democrat. And with her being a corporate Democrat in such a capacity, with all the incremental reforms that she wants to do, they're not enough to sit here and get a lot of people to support her like they instead do to Bernie Sanders. And you can't really blame this election on a Bernie Sanders because he's an 80-year-old guy or 70-year-old guy. And he's sitting here talking about a democratic socialism, something that works for the mass of people, is pretty much liberal light. I mean, for the fact of the matter is, it's the same thing that FDR did when he was pushed by socialists, communists, and unions in the midst of the Depression. The Depression essentially galvanized a lot of movements that worked to sit here and alleviate the pressure of austerity on the mass of people and get the rich to pay their damn taxes. So that's not happening quite as much as it used to. But the fact of the matter is, Bernie Sanders giving capitalism a nicer face might be something that's needed, but it's being resisted in every way, shape, or form. And as Richard D. Wolff says in his YouTube video, the fact of the matter is he cannot do it by himself. He does need a movement underneath him and a lot of wind to... Excuse me. Oh, man. This is going to be a long night. But he does need a lot of wind to his sails, and that's going to be the political revolution and the movements that sit here and he fights and advocates for. He's fighting for unions. He's fighting for the $15 an hour as a minimum wage. He's fighting for a number of things, but he's only one part of the puzzle. We do need a new Congress, something that a lot of people are sitting here and beginning to forget. The Congress is pretty much bought off. So the fact of the matter is, you need a lot of people that are basically going to be looking into this, looking into the politics and the economics of what has been going on, as well as to change those politics, not only in red states, but also in blue states, where, say, people are looking into a new Congress on the national level, as well as their local elections, to sit here and alleviate the pressure of what has been going on internationally for a very long time. What we're seeing here is essentially a choice of the continuation of the Reagan era and the neoliberalism that was started actually by Carter, who was the first neoliberal president. And then the fact of the matter is, if you don't understand exactly what has been going on, let's sit here and put it to basically different eras. With FDR from let's say his 1928 or 1929 to essentially 1946, yeah, you had the New Deal that he created. Now that created an era for the 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s. Last liberal president was Richard Nixon, and he did not want to go that way, but there was a lot of movements against him. So 1974, that would be the New Deal era. After that, the rich basically formed up and started smashing all of these things with Jimmy Carter as well as Reagan, who basically began the raw deal that we've been living through. So we can sit here and get back on the right track for FDR and his policies, but a lot of people are probably not going to be paying attention to it. So when you're looking at it, forgive me a little bit, I'm still in pain from my back, but that's another story for another time. When you're looking at what is going on, this is the Reagan deal. The Reagan deal was a lot of neoliberalism that we're still living through under Obama. It's austerity for the masses until they sit here, get organized, and basically fight against and begin to revolt against the austerity that they've been looking into, or that they're being put through by the rich. The rich have basically controlled the economics, controlled the politics, and Richard D. Wolff really does do a good job in going and talking about that, the 50 years of the propaganda of everything that's been going on. So, my point is, if you really want to sit here and begin to learn how to fight, we do have to get organized. We do have to sit here and start critiquing some of these anarchists, some of these Marxists, and all these people. And we have to sit here and begin to look into not only the culture struggles that we're going into, but everything in between. So, with that, I'm going to move on to the culture struggle and Michael Parenti. Now, the reason that I brought this up is because I'm doing a video that is going to be talking about identity politics. Not only racism, but also sexism, the feminist movement, white identity politics, or the identity politics, you may not know it in quite the same way, but people do those similar things. So that's something that we really have to sit here and talk about. Now, in the beginning of this YouTube video by Michael Parenti, he talks about how we have to fight for for the consciousness of the working class. And that's something that a lot of people don't really understand. Like the narratives, you're not here for not a lot of people are here for facts, but they're here to see if you're authentic enough to sit here and be believed about a number of things. And when you're talking about the cultural struggle, this is another form of identity politics. And a lot of people, myself included, take Michael Parenti as talking about these issues before it became the ID poll that we know and love today. So that's why I'm bringing this up. I want to recommend this YouTube video to people that are interested in this. He has some other good ones, which are also talking about class and conspiracy, which a lot of people don't really understand. You have a class of people, the ruling class, the capitalist class, that essentially tries to use identity politics to get what they want. Divide the working class up, have them fight against each other, and then they reap the profits from that exploitation. So, something to look into: cultural struggle, class, and conspiracy. Those are the types of things that I'm going to be looking into with Michael Parenti. I'm only halfway done with the video as of right now, but we'll get more into that as I talk more about it later on. Now, the final thing is the corporate media. A lot of people don't really understand about the corporate media, and I sit here and strongly recommend Sane Progressive. This is like the second or third time that I've had a video to her. With the Sane Progressive, what she does is she sits here and talks about the media as kind of a psyops. I mean, if you want to sit here and get something more concise, Noam Chomsky has 8 minutes of the same thing, but he talks about the institutions, he talks about the consolidation of the media. I don't think Sane Progressive quite does that same thing, but she does get into why in the world does the corporate media seem to sit here and give us a Hillary Clinton and use Donald Trump to essentially try to beat us over the head and exploit us and blackmail us with a Donald Trump presidency over a Hillary Clinton presidency. Now, here's the thing about the Hillary Clinton presidency that I didn't get into in the Bernie Sanders segment. Hillary Clinton is essentially an even worse version of Richard goddamn Nixon. Now, I'm not saying that to be facetious. I'm not saying that to be negative or anything like that. I'm just saying that because the facts of the matter is she's more corporately bought. She does the same things that he was doing in terms of taking bribes from corporations and things like that. And I mean, Richard Nixon, his thing was he took money from not only the mafia, but he also took money from corporations such as the milk industry, so that way they got the legislation that they wanted. But his corruption, especially in regards to Cuba and, you know, trying to sit here and oust the Fidel Castro in 1959 as well as 1964, 1973, 72. Well, he had two major attempts to try to use the CIA to go after Fidel Castro, and they both failed because, you know, Castro is still alive. Of course, he had more things that happened, and there's plenty of talk about the CIA and the mafia plots and everything that's been going on. But the point here is, the fact of the matter is, our media never reported on those types of things. The Washington Post and getting into, you know, the leaks by Mark Felt, that's part of it, but that's not really the core main problem. Like, if you actually understand what happened with the CIA and everything, you'll realize that they were trying to oust them because John Allen Dulles, the director of the CIA, was doing a lot of things to basically go after them. I have an 800-page book. One day I might read it online or something, so that way you all can have an understanding of the problems that were going on here. But essentially, Lamar Waldron is a great person to sit here and talk to. But the point here is that the corporate media sits here and serves the rich and doesn't report on the stories that are needed. So this is what Sane Progressive is actually talking about. That's something that you really should look into. And I think that she does have a pretty rational voice, even though sometimes, I don't know why, but she seems to like get really, really angry and upset on her videos. But man, it's the little things. So those are the main three things that I wanted to talk about. And trying to figure out what's going on in the forums. Okay, make sure that everybody's getting their questions answered. Just going to be taking some right now. So it's been 20 minutes and pretty much I just wanted to get those three things out. I'm probably going to be starting my regular stream again, but I'm trying to finish this video first, and the video is supposed to be the identity politics to get into a number of things. Now, the reason that I'm going into identity politics is because no one really has an understanding of it. They sit here and instead construe it as all the problems of feminism, or they have problems with racism, but no one really tries to connect those through the identity politics angle. And when you don't connect it through the identity politics angle, you just forget about what the hell you're talking about. And some people just don't know. I mean, honestly, you need to have an understanding of why in the world would anybody try to use this as part of a power struggle, which is essentially what it is. It's a struggle for power in a number of small areas, and I want to go into that in very, very deep detail. Like, how in the world did state feminism go to turn into market feminism for now? And how do these things just basically do the things that they need to do? Or how do they do the things that they're supposed to be doing? So, alright. Well, doesn't look like anybody has any questions. It's going to be another small stream. If you all sit here and look at this after it's been streamed, feel free to ask any questions you want. Sit here and look at the links. Sit here and talk about them if you need to. I'll see you all next time.